Hey, welcome to episode 3 of the Loper Show. The guest joining me today, I think, needs no introduction, but I'll give you one anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my best friends and a real pride and joy of Columbus, Ohio. 2-time MLS champion, 2-time national team member, and of course, just an absolute legend around the league. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Frankie Hejduk.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man?
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Yeah.
Just hanging out. Yeah.
Frankie decided to crack open an apple juice as the show gets rolling here.
Yep.
Man, how can we start the show without even just addressing what happened over the weekend?
In terms of?
Ohio State, Michigan.
Dude.
Like, where did you watch the game at?
I was at my house with all the kids. Every one of them had Ohio State jerseys on. There was, I have a pretty big backyard. All of them were playing football. They were all so amped.
I mean,
then the game starts, and the game keeps going and going. And I just saw like everyone started to just deflate, and I'm like, oh my God, this is really going to happen. And yeah, it was. And there was one kid always that wore a Michigan jersey out of the 15 kids that were there.
Oh, that's my buddy Hassey. We were watching the game, and he's like the contrarian that's born in Columbus, Ohio, but he's a Michigan fan somehow.
How do you
just to go against the grain? That's who he is.
Hey, and you know what? That's why I do it too. No, I was honestly out there going, let's go Michigan, and then I'd be, let's go Ohio State, and all the kids were going. So because I really don't have too many ties to either or. Except for my wife went to Ohio State, so I got that.
Well, that's a tie you might want to keep.
But I like to battle against her time to time. I mean, we don't, there needs to be some little fight. But with Ohio State, it's always perfect. It's always like, okay, you're going to win 11 games. You're going to win. You're going to go 11-1. You're going to maybe 10-2. The teams that you play are not going to be that good, and the teams that your rival, even if that's not that good, that's going to be a freaking ball game, dude.
Right.
I knew before the game started, dude. I felt weird, I'll be honest.
You thought there was something in the air, though. I don't know what it was, but I kind of agree with you.
Michigan had 0 to lose. That was their national championship game.
Right.
The only thing they had to lose was nothing. So they're going out with everything that they have. And I kind of felt that even before the game started. I was like, dude, when I think about it, they don't have really much to worry about except their whole season depends on beating Ohio State.
From a high-level sports outlook, how dangerous is a team that has nothing to lose?
Incredibly dangerous. Because, especially even if they're away from home. It's like, okay, let's just go. We're leaving it all out there. And if you don't have a playoff in the background or anything, you're kind of fighting for your job for next season. So you're going, hey, man, I'm going to give it all I got so I can start next season for the coach and show him what I am. And man, you saw that game just play out like.
That final interception was like, beyond devastating. I mean, that was so. It took where I was. It took all the air right out of the room.
No, dude, all the kids were bummed. Like they were all supposed to spend the night. They were all.
Everybody went home. Like they're just like, we're out of here.
No,
sorry.
it was like it was the biggest buzzkill ever. I was
There's
like,
nothing to celebrate.
I thought that they were planning on playing football after in the backyard, and I saw the level of what Ohio, how much this really means to them. I've seen that level in Europe when I played in soccer. Like you're down with your town. If you're from Ipswich Town, you're all the 30,000 that live in Ipswich Town are into Ipswich Town. Ohio State, everyone from Ohio is freaking in.
Yeah,
and
no doubt.
It took me a bunch of years to really grasp that around my head. I'm like, why are they so serious about this? And I still really don't know, but it's a tradition. And I've never seen anything like it, really. These people, the whole town was shut down.
It was crazy. There was like a depression in the air, like literally.
I felt it.
Speaking of depression, where do you think Ryan Day goes, the head coach of Ohio State? Do they keep him?
No, well, dude, I was just listening to ESPN this morning, and they were saying what a bad coach game that was. They're like, and so they were really ripping. They're like, oh, Ohio State has an unbelievable team. They have a really bad coach.
Oh, the talent's so deep.
Which I thought was interesting because Ryan Day, he's beaten all of them. Urban Meyer, he has the best record out of any ex-Ohio State football coach.
Except against Michigan.
Except against Michigan. And that's what we're saying. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to get fired? It's like, or we're talking about that, or that's even in the conversation. I never knew, like for me, it's in soccer, you win the supporter shield. So you win the league, and then everyone's like, oh, okay, great. But the main thing is the cup. To win the MLS Cup.
Right.
So they still have a chance to win the Cup.
Yes, they'll go first round against Tennessee, right?
Yeah, first round against Tennessee. And they still have a chance to win. What the ultimate thing is to be the national champion, which I would think. But here in Ohio, no. If you beat Michigan, you can go 1-11. You beat Michigan, you're the national champion.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, the score 10-13, and I mean, immediately the talk about firing Ryan Day started. Like at every bar in Columbus, at every household in Columbus. Can you imagine being him like on Sunday?
Wait, dude, you saw him. You saw him.
Yeah.
You see his face. He looked like a deer in headlights, dude.
He said it was the worst day of his life.
No,
literally the worst day of his life.
And it looked like it. And dude, he looked like it. He looked physically, emotionally depleted. And even when the fight was breaking out, you saw him, and I'd see some, some Twitter things or X, whatever it's called, that he just looks like, he goes, what happened?
Just unaffected by the fight and everything.
He's like, what happened?
No,
he didn't even know what happened.
Yeah, totally.
So for him, I don't know what to think, dude. I'm like, man, you have one of the best records ever in the history of Ohio State, but you just can't beat the team that everyone in Ohio wants to beat. I don't know which is better. I mean, I'm not from Ohio, so would you rather beat Michigan or have the national championship?
Right.
And I don't know which one is more heavy for them. It's almost like even half the fans would probably say, if we beat Michigan, the year's over.
Yeah, because Urban Meyer 7-0 against Michigan.
Hmm?
One national championship. Should have been two because we were not eligible that year, the first year he came in. But you got to think that most of his legacy was built on that 7-0.
One dude, and especially for Ohio fans.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they care about the national championship, but what we're talking about right now is he's 7-0 against Michigan. We're not talking about his national championship. And what I hear about, just from what I hear, because I don't know the history, and I'm starting to learn more and more about the history of Ohio State. John Cooper didn't win. Guy was one of the greatest coaches ever in Ohio State, and he's literally regarded as low on the totem pole in terms because he couldn't beat Michigan. That's it. So it's like, wow, man, you had the best record ever, all of Ohio State, and then you don't beat Michigan, and you went from here to you're at the bottom.
Yeah, you got to get closer.
They compare John Cooper to don't be the Cooper. Don't get cooped. And Ryan Day's kind of trending to that way, and it's kind of sad to see because all the other, he's flawless in everything else, and I just don't get that game and how they can't just come around and really go, okay, dude, come on, guys, let's go. They're going to come out with everything. They're going to give all they got. This team is nowhere near as good as we are, and I don't know if it's heart. I don't know if it's being scared because you don't want to win. I don't know what it is, but I don't know if it's game planning.
Well, there was a lot of people talking about how he was calling the plays, and he stopped doing that for a while. And then on Saturday, it seemed that he was calling the plays.
Yeah, he was. And what I heard, and the only thing, I watched the game. I know football. We've all been watching it since we've been 5 years old. It's not like we really totally know the game. Like I'm not on one of those coaches' level, but what I hear is he just kept on he wanted to beat Michigan through the run game. And the run game was just not going to work. They have two guys on Michigan that are going to the pros, 100% NFL top prospects that both play defense, both play linebacker. And you just kept on running into those guys. And I'm like, eventually you got to be like, okay, dude, we're not going to beat them on the run. You have three wide receivers at Ohio State that are going to be pro prospects offensively. And you didn't use them once. Jeremiah Smith, is that his name? He didn't get one target in the fourth quarter. He's literally one of the best. He's going to win freshman of the year or whatever it is.
Right.
He didn't get one target. And then you had 2 other guys, Jackson Smith or Jigba. You have all these guys. Is that him? No, Emeka Mbuka. Emeka Mbuka. You have him, and then you have Tate. You have 3 wide receivers that are potential NFL prospects. And he didn't really pass it to any of them.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, it really is. I think the only thing that's more wild than that is the pepper spray on the field after the game. I mean, have you ever in soccer around the world? I can only imagine that you've seen something like that, right?
Yeah, no, it happens, man. It happens.
I mean, it happens. I mean, but that is such a
happens.
gnarly thing because in college sports, none of these guys are kids, but you get the idea because they're in college that they're kids, right? You know, like for some reason, it just sticks out in your mind more than the pros. But when you see the cops on the field actually using pepper spray because the fight is so outrageous, I mean, it really it begs the question of like next year, what is the precedent going to be to make sure something crazy like that doesn't happen?
I don't know if it ever will. I really don't, because if I was those Ohio State guys, I would have done the same exact thing. Once they were standing on the Michigan thing, like that.
Oh, when they brought the flag out, that was the final straw.
No, they were just standing on the on the Ohio State logo.
Yeah,
like going, "What's up?" And man, that should have been. I would have been brawling in a second. The guy that did the flag thing, if that was me, he would have been tackled so freaking hard because he didn't even have a helmet on.
Right.
He would have gotten drilled with my helmet. And maybe I might have gotten arrested, and I probably would have.
Speaking of getting drilled, what about Aziz Al-Shir?
Stupid.
I mean, that was nuts, right? That
nuts,
hit on
dude.
Trevor Lawrence from the Jaguars.
Dude, unbelievable, dude. That should never happen. And that's
the fight that happened after that.
Yeah,
too,
but that's
was
another
nuts.
one that I'm not psyched on the fights after. Like for me, it's like a lot of pushing, like okay, and they're like, dude, that guy should have got in his head hit in by another helmet like he did to Trevor Lawrence because he was on the ground too. And you saw the other team, all they did was like kind of like pick him up. And it wasn't really a fight. He should have got a helmet to the head just like Trevor Lawrence did. And I would have been like, yeah, how does it feel, bro?
So what is the equivalent to that in soccer? Like if somebody hitting a quarterback like that?
Yeah, it's weird. Sports are a different deal. In hockey, it's okay to do that. And there's like a.
But if you touch the goalie in hockey, you're going to catch a beat down.
No, you're getting a beat down no matter what in hockey. That's what I mean.
Like
no, because you're not allowed to fight, dude. You're not really allowed to, and it's like there's like a code.
Hockey. That's the one sport where. Just oddly enough, shout out to Jody Shelley. You're allowed to just go absolutely ape shit.
You're like, okay, you're talking crap, you're talking shit to me. Okay, let's go. And then they drop the gloves, and that just doesn't really happen in any other sport. And that's why I love hockey so much. Like those guys don't care to drop the gloves and go, let's go. And that's why I was actually disappointed in the Ohio State players for not, and even like you said, the Jaguars guys not doing more to that guy.
Yeah,
then
they got him off the field pretty quick.
Yeah,
they were like, "Come on, dude."
I saw him with his helmet off, going, "What's up?" And I'm like, "Dude, someone should have come back from the blind side and said, this is what's up. How does it feel? Because you just blindsided our quarterback. How does that feel to get blindsided?"
You know what was nuts this year in sports? This is before I came back to Columbus when I was still down in Nashville. When Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And they literally carried the goalpost down Broadway.
That's awesome.
I mean, that was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I mean, literally coming, right next to Tootsie's, right past Aldean's, right past Kid Rock's place, and right into the Cumberland.
Dude, it's Vanderbilt, man. and that's what we're seeing right now in college football. Vanderbilt, all of a sudden, maybe they got a couple NIL guys, and all of a sudden they're decent because they were not bad. They gave all the top teams really tough games.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing how the NIL money and how that's even trickling down. I'm sure Vanderbilt doesn't have that much, but I'm sure they have enough to get a couple players that they probably wouldn't have gotten before.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing that because Vanderbilt they went 1-11 every year or whatever they did, 2-11. All of a sudden they're giving all these really good teams challenges.
Speaking of NIL, how has that affected soccer?
With
the kids coming into
I don't
college.
think soccer's not as big, dude. So I don't think
it's not as big, but still, there's some money there for people. Are they siphoning those players into the MLS, or are people still wanting to play abroad?
No, they're still. Now it's because MLS is almost paying just as much as overseas now for players.
Does that blow your mind at this point?
Yeah,
like,
totally
when you
does.
got into the league, I mean, compared to now.
Oh my God, it's amazing what I was making $30,000 a year when I got in the league, and that's what a pro was making in soccer. Now the minimum I think is maybe 200, maybe 300.
Wow.
That's a guy that doesn't even start play or do anything. But he's training every day. But where it's gone from what it was is kind of what we wanted as ex-players. It's like finally we're getting some recognition. I mean, it's still not as much as the NBA players and the NFL players, but it's like, okay, we're not far off, dude. This game is the biggest game in the world, except for here. And now it's kind of slowly pumping up. We're starting to get contracts more like the NHL. And they're not big contracts. NHL isn't. They're not getting these $240 million contracts like some of the NFL players are getting, but they're getting up there.
Yeah.
And so it's cool to see. It's rad to know that these guys that you built a little platform for them, and now they can strive and go for whatever. But man, it's come in what 25 years. And it's gone from nothing to something really quick.
And after the Save the Crew movement, which I proudly stood on the steps of City Hall here in Columbus.
Bro. I couldn't be there, man. I had to send Nesta, dude.
And that's why I was there on your behalf, bro.
Totally.
It gave that speech, and it really happened. We saved the crew, and that was such a big deal here in Columbus.
I think that was such a big deal everywhere, dude.
Yeah, I think so too.
Even in England, they're like a team got saved by the people.
Yeah.
It wasn't the organization saving the team.
Right.
The people saved the team. They took it to court. They took it to and they figured out, hey, you're not allowed to do that. Where they were trying to do some stuff under the table. And we had a bunch of smart fans and a bunch of guys that were Morgan Hughes, shout out, and all those dudes that were so into this crew thing that they took it to the next level, dude. And they were so smart. And all those guys, half of them could be lawyers.
Yeah.
Half of them could. So they knew the game. And they're like, okay, you're trying to take this game away. No, Mr. Garber, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It
was such a moment in sports, too. It was a cool time. Do you attribute that moment, saving the crew, to all of this success? Like fast forward to the new stadium that was built here, Lower.com Stadium, which is, one of the nicest in the entire league. It's just beautiful, man. You took me there for a couple of games, and I got that VIP treatment. It was so cool to be on the field, and just, of course, historic Crew Stadium was always very special. Not just for soccer, but for we do Sonic Temple there.
Yeah, first soccer stadium ever.
Yeah, the first soccer specific stadium. Yeah. But do you attribute the saving the crew to all of the success that the crew's gone on to have, the multiple championships that we've had since then?
100%. Yeah. Taking it to the next level is taking it to the next level. And once that stadium was built, and that's all we as players wanted too. Historic Crew Stadium's awesome, but we knew, dude, we're a little bit in the ghetto, dude. There's no restaurants around here. There's
right.
You're not feeding the outside people. Where you go downtown, now all of a sudden there's a bunch of people down at the restaurants.
Oh, it's so great.
And you're feeding, into all the other businesses around, and
Totally.
they can start supporting you. And the support that they've given is unbelievable. But man, once that stadium was built and we got it down there, I knew that it was just going to blow up, dude. And
yeah, it's so cool. When they're having a concert at Promo West, and then they're doing a Clippers game, and there's a crew game going on. It just, Columbus is on fire,
dude.
Man.
I've literally been at a concert at what is it called?
Promo West Live.
Live.
Yeah.
And had to leave early because a crew game was next, and I would jump over that fence. I'd go to the back, jump over the fence, go over the railroad tracks, go through the bushes, get a little poison ivy just to try to make it barely to the crew game where I had to do, a hometown hero or whatever. But I've been there where I almost missed a crew game because I was at Promo West or Pro whatever it is, just rocking. I'm like, oh my God. It's time. I got to go, dude. I got to do a hometown hero in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Jump the fence, run as fast as I can, go across the railroad tracks, which is illegal. And,
Don't do it, kids.
And then just kind of glide into the stadium like, hey, Frankie. I'm like, dude, you don't know. I was almost just, I could have been late like that. Dude. I might have missed the game because the concert was so good, but.
So take me back, man, when you got your start. A lot of people, I don't think, realize this, but instead of soccer, you could have been a pro surfer.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Who wouldn't want to do that, dude? It's like, okay, you can go. Pro surfer means you're in all tropical environments.
Endless Summer is my favorite movie ever.
And that's what surfing is. It's an endless
Does
summer.
Does that pump you up when you watch it? Because it gets me so wild every time I see that movie.
Have you seen the second one?
No, so how is the second one?
It's okay. You kind of try to do the same thing,
right.
But there's nothing like the first one.
No.
But dude, that's what that's what I wanted to live. I really did. But I was better at soccer than surfing. Yeah. I mean, I could have gone pro at surfing, but I would have been in the struggle a little bit, Who
are some of the guys that you've been in the water with that are just unbelievable?
I mean, all of them, dude. Rob Machado, Kelly Flatt.
My favorite of all time.
Rob Machado he's one of my best friends. I'm actually I'm going to California on the 7th, and him and I go to surf together.
Love it.
So yeah, we'll be out there, and we don't get to see each other that much, but we grew up from 5 years old at San Leo campgrounds, and I was surfing with. At one point, he was the best surfer in the world. He didn't win the world championship, but he was the second best surfer in the world. And I got to hang with him every day. And he was actually a really good soccer player. So he took the other route.
Yeah.
He could have been a soccer player too, but he was a little bit better at surfing. And so he went the surfing route, and I went the soccer route. He probably had a much better life than me in terms of living in the tropical weather, I'm in Columbus, I'm in Germany, it's rainy, it's cold, it's windy, you got to speak the language to get a chick or two. Over there, you're in the tropical islands, man, you're getting all the girls, you're surfing, like, dude,
it's
that life is an endless summer. It really is. And luckily, I chose the right one. Because I would have been, I wasn't as good as that. I could have been pro, but to be an elite pro is a different deal. And, soccer, I guess I was.
So from San Diego, of course, you go to college. And then do you go straight to Tampa Bay?
Yeah, so I left, I was at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
I got, recruited, and I remember, being recruited by Ziggy Smith, who was actually the coach that we won the MLS Cup with in 2008. So
that's so sick.
My college coach was the MLS Cup, my MLS team coach as well. But I remember on the phone, just being on the phone going, and Ziggy Smith's calling me, and he goes, hey man, I want you to come and play soccer at UCLA, and would you be interested? And I remember going, dude, yeah, coach, because this was back in the time when you had phones, like with the cords, like the little cords, right? Little things, that, whatever they call those.
Yep.
And I was on one line, and I was like, coach, a landline. And I was like, coach, I think I'm going to go in the surfing route. I have a chance in surfing. And my parents were on the other line. They were downstairs on the other line. And they were like, no, coach, he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't. And we laughed just like you did. Everyone was laughing. I was like, okay, coach. All right, guys. I'm like, you guys have put so much effort into what you drove me to soccer all around. Like, you didn't have
camps.
You didn't have to drive too much in surfing. You could just drop me off at the beach, and I was there for 8 hours.
Right.
Soccer, you had to take you here, take you there, to drive all over the place. Stay in a hotel for 3 nights. It's like it was crazy. So that kind of right at that point, I was a point where I was like, dang, dude, I kind of gotta respect my parents here and maybe make a decision that maybe I didn't want to make, but I know that they want me to make. So I went that route with it. And,
What was it like when you pulled up in Germany? Like when you get when you get the call from the league and you go and you're in Europe.
Dude.
Fish out of water, so to speak.
100% fish out of water, dude. Like, not even a clue that Germans don't speak English. Like, that's how bad it was. I'm like, yeah, dude. Dude, no one speaks English over here?
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's how, just naive I was about the situation. Because I could have gone to England. I could have gone to English-speaking countries, at least.
Yeah.
When I went there, I don't know why I chose it, but I went there, and it was a slap in the face, dude. It was trainings, 3-time training a day, as gnarly as you can be. Whereas MLS, like I was playing for the Tampa Bay Mutiny. One of our trainings would be, our coach would be like, hey guys, let's meet at the pool tomorrow. Everyone lived in the same area, in the same apartment complex.
Right,
hey, our training's going to be a warm up in the pool. and we'd be in Tampa like in the warmer, and after we'd go straight to the bars and rage.
Yeah.
And then I went to like real seriousness, like triple days. Like, hey, you're 10 seconds late.
Wow.
I'm like, what? Then I was always late.
Yeah.
So it was like, and Germans don't want anyone to be late, you know? It's like, so I had to like adjust really quick. Like, hey, it's not just all, hey, fun and games. It's like, this is some serious bullshit, dude. Like, all of a sudden, there's men there. Like, dudes are 6'4" and like, you know, just studs. Like, you know, and they're battling for their if they play that game, they get $10,000 more dollars. Or if they don't play that game, they don't get those $10,000. It wasn't like that in MLS. In MLS, it didn't matter if you played or you didn't or whatever. You were getting the same paycheck. Over there, every game, if you were on the roster and you were good enough that week to maybe play, man, if you won, you got $10,000.
So were you over there during Christmas ever?
Yeah, Weihnachten.
Dude, so do you know about the Krampus season that's about to begin?
No, what's that?
So Krampus is like, do you know Brett? Our producer Brett in the background. So Krampus is awesome. So Krampus is like, okay, so Superman and Lex Luthor, right?
Yeah.
So Krampus is like the Lex Luthor of Christmas. He's this German.
He's a Grinch.
But he's like half demon.
Okay.
And like half, what is it, like a goat? I mean, he has goat feet.
Yeah, I see now.
Like
I know you're, yeah.
And basically what happens is, starting on December 6th, right around then, he goes around and there's Krampus night where all the kids that were bad get snatched up and he's got this basket on his back and he throws, because there's a movie about it and everything, you know, but this is like German folklore from back in the day, right?
What movie is it?
It's just called Krampus. Dude, we should watch it together. I'm telling you, it's so dope.
No.
Yeah. So he puts the kids in the basket. He's got this thing he whips them with. I mean, it's the actual festivals in, I'm going to pull up some video and I'll put it here on the screen, but the actual video of this Krampus festival happening in Germany and Austria, they do it. It's unfucking believable. It's so sick. The costumes. I mean, it's just crazy.
So what's like half goat, half demon?
Yeah. Let me just pull up a video. Real
totally.
quick.
I want to see it because I'm like, I didn't even know. Dude, I lived over there for 5 years. I never saw any of that. I didn't know what Krampus was, and I probably should know what it is.
And they do like huge festivals where like the parade is, I mean, I don't know, 50, 75, 100 people in these wild-ass demon costumes marching down the street, playing drums, grabbing little kids off the street. I mean, it's crazy.
Dude, that's nuts, man. Dude, Germany has some weird little holidays, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah, look at this.
Oh, my God.
And I'll put it up on the screen so everybody can check it out as well.
Warrior, dude. Oh,
I mean, is that crazy, guys?
Yeah, that looks scary, bro. I wouldn't want, if that guy came at me, I'd be out of there, dude.
And this goes on, like I said, all across in that area of in like Eastern Europe and stuff.
Dude, that's nuts. And then what do? Did they beat up all the kids? Or what
I don't think they beat up kids, but you know they're out there.
They're out there like
just celebrating the Krampus season. But the whole idea behind Krampus is he's there to make sure.
Oh my God,
it's so
dude.
wild, guys. I mean, this is nuts. I mean, it's so nuts.
Scared, bro.
But yeah, so he takes the kids that are bad, and so like the motivation to be good is that. You don't want to get snatched up by Krampus.
I got it, dude.
And so Saint Nick comes to the good kids later in the month, but early on.
If you don't want to be,
he's got this broom thing that he hits kids with. I mean, it's like would never fly in the United States.
Like, dude, there's a lot of things over there in Germany that would never fly in the United States. Dude, there's, and I think it's during Christmas where you're allowed one night where it's all the men go, and all women are on their own too. If you're married, if you're not married, doesn't matter. The one night you're allowed to do whatever you want. So you wear these ties.
Yeah.
So, and I had zero idea. Like all the guys were like, hey guys, Frankie, you got to wear the tie to the bar. And I was like, okay, I'll just go to the bar. And dude, the whole town is like, I've never seen anything like it. So the more ties you have, that means the more women you kiss. So if you have a bunch of ties, a girl, if she wants to kiss you. So are the girls
given the ties?
No, you have ties. Okay. If the girl wants you, she comes up and cuts your tie.
Yeah.
And then you kiss her.
Oh, wow.
And so you're just kissing girls all night. And it's just kind of gross. It's like, dude, how many other dudes are you doing this to?
I guess,
and they only hang out for like a little bit.
Right. Like, well, they got more ties to cut.
Yeah, and they're like, okay. And then they go to the next one. And it's like no big deal. And
That's
I'm like,
so wild.
So there's more divorces on that night in Germany.
That's the real devil's night.
No,
man,
no, that's what it is.
Yeah,
There's more divorces, they say, on that night than ever in Germany the whole year.
Dude comes home, his tie's so short.
Yeah, you know, this guy, dude, I've seen dudes go out with one tie and then they have 14 in the freaking car.
No.
Yeah, so they leave the house with
that's
one.
so
They're
wild.
like, oh, I hope I see you, because sometimes you'll run into your couple.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I just have one tie. But dude, oh my God, dude. I was sucking face, dude, with so many girls.
Oh
and
my God.
it was awful. No, it was awful. Because when I thought about it after, I'm like, oh my God, dude, this chick I'm probably like the 7th dude this chick kissed.
Hilarious.
Ah, gross, dude. It was gross. But
So-
they're gnarly.
Before we leave Germany in this story, you told me a story on the phone the other day that I'm surprised. I've heard most Frankie stories, but this was one that had eluded me. So you forgot your passport and you weren't able to play in a game in Europe at one point?
Yeah, dude. I went over there. That's what I said. That's how naive I was when I went over there. I was like, oh, dude, I just thought everyone spoke English. Like,
Right.
they speak German, but everyone speaks English. And they all speak English, but they don't want to. You know, so, but I went over there. I was like, oh, okay, cool. You know, and we had a Champions League game, and it was in Slovakia. It was in a team called Maribor. And I get on the bus, and it's a one time. Like I finally, it took me 6 months to break the lineup. Like literally, I went over. I had the best World Cup ever in Germany. You know, the team bought me from Germany. Then they bought me again from MLS, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be fit right in. I'm a starter. You know, no. For 6 months, I was on the bench. I was riding pine, dude. And it was rainy and cold and windy and snowy. And I went from Palm Beach. I was in Tampa Bay, bro. I was in Tampa, like living it up. One training a day. Training was at the pool.
You're at Ybor City hanging out.
Training was at the pool.
Yeah,
like
right,
we had training. So, and I went to that, and I was like, what? And so yeah, I go. Finally I break the lineup. The coach is like, yeah, you're starting this week. It's in Maribor. You know, you're a defensive player. We want you to just be hard and get ready to get in there. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. And get on the bus, and they announce like, hey, you know, just make sure everyone has their passports. And I'm like, I look around. I'm like, I think I'm in America, you know, because I don't need a passport.
You think it's like going from like Alabama to Florida or something,
to
right?
California.
Yeah,
I don't
Nevada
need,
to California.
Yeah, I'm thinking all those places are states.
Yeah, you're like, we're good, right?
Yeah. We're like, dude. So I'm like, okay, they're different countries, Frankie. They're different freaking countries. You have to have a passport to go. I didn't know that. So I get on the bus and I instantly go, I'm like, Coach, I don't have my passport. What do I do? He's like, he looks at me and just goes, well, you need to get off the bus and you need to call your wife or whoever's at your house and you need to get your passport.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God. So,
and this was going to be one of the first times that you would start.
First time I'm starting.
Oh,
like
the first time.
The first time. And I had like the best weeks of training.
Yeah.
I was so prepared, dude. Like, I'm like, I can't wait, dude. It's ready time to release, bro. They kept the bull in the freaking thing for 6 months.
Yeah.
So I was ready to go. And I'm like, oh my God. So I'm like, okay, cool. I get off the bus and the bus instantly, I literally step off the bus and the bus goes, takes off. I'm like,
so you're just standing on the street corner.
Standing on the street. It's raining.
Oh my God.
I was just with my team, ready to go.
Yeah.
And I call my ex-wife, and I'm like, hey, can you come? I forgot my passport. So she comes, picks me up, and then we meet the team at the airport. And I'm like, it's just like super awkward. Dude. I'm like, what the hell? And even then, I didn't think it was a big deal. But to them, like, dude, Germans are, dude, like I said, your punctuation, you need to be on point with them. And I was the opposite of a German. So it was like
you were getting snatched up by Krampus.
Oh, I was Krampus. Dude, they would have Krampused me like, they're like, oh, dude, this freaking guy, dude, this guy's a definition of Krampus. Go get him, dude.
Yeah, dude.
So I get there. We get to the airport. I make it, go on there, fly to Maribor, and we're on a team walk right before the game. And normally on team walk, the coach will say to a couple guys because you travel with 20 people. And only 18 can be on the lineup.
Yeah.
They go to the two that say, hey, you're out this time. And you're not even on the bench. You're like in the stands.
What?
So no. So they travel with 20. The 18 and get to be on the bench because you can't have more than 18 on the bench.
Yeah.
And the other two go to sit in the stands.
Oh my
at
God.
the freaking with your little fucking suit on and your and everyone knows who you are because no one else is wearing suits in Maribor.
Right.
I'll tell you that at a game. Yeah. And it's flares and it's everything. The stadium was 12,000 people, and so we're on the walk, and I get a tap on the shoulder, and I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, Frankie, we don't think your head's in it this game. You know, you're with your passport," and I'm like, "What the fuck?" I'm like, "I just forgot my passport. I'm fucking ready to go, bro. What are you even talking?" But for them, it was such they thought my head was out of the game because I forgot my passport. And I ended up being one of the two guys sitting in a
exiled
suit,
to the stands,
sitting in a suit in the middle of Maribor, Slovakia, cold as shit, just sitting there freezing. Everyone knowing who we are, because all the fans. There's not one Leverkusen fan there, not one. The whole town is probably 12,000 people. 12,000 people were there. So that was my first experience with kind of like, realizing what Germany is.
How serious it was. Not to get Krampused.
Yeah, dude, totally. It was like, oh my God, Frankie, it's not fun in games anymore. This is like a really big deal what you're doing. And, I kind of realized it right then.
Speaking of Krampus, we'll have to go check it out. One of the haunted houses here in town, it's called Fear.
Yeah.
They do the whole...
You're into those. You love that, dude. I get scared, dude. I'm scared.
I just down at Horror Nights in Florida. And but so they turn it from Halloween into full-on Krampus. And it's going on.
I'd be scared, dude.
I think it's this weekend and the weekend, Friday the 13th weekend, too.
Yeah, I'd be scared. Yeah. I'd be scared, yeah. You know how to handle that better. My wife is the same way. My wife's like, oh my God, I love haunted houses.
Yeah.
And we figured out that a couple of my kids don't like haunted houses.
You never went in Cali?
No.
To Universal?
Never.
Oh, they have the best. Dude. Well, I mean, it's between there and Orlando. But so in Vegas, I was talking about this on the last podcast. They're opening up the 365 haunted experience that's going to have they're themed after a bunch of different movies.
Yeah.
One of the Blumhouse movies. Just like all the old school characters like Dracula, the werewolf, all of that. And so it's going to be there in Vegas as a new attraction.
Yeah, that's gnarly for me. That's just gnarly. You kind of see where your kids are at too. Kostin, my second oldest, he's like not down with any type of that stuff at all.
Yeah.
My youngest, Hendrix, nope, he's scared. My daughter's like, let's go.
The girls love it. Yeah, the girls love it.
So she has her mom in her. I'm like, she has not so that's when you
so
start
funny.
to realize what little traits do each of your kids have that you've given them. And I've been seeing it happen in front of my eyes. And I'm like, God, it's crazy.
Dude, when you played for the U.S. national team, I love that story that you told. Were you guys in Guatemala or something like that? And you guys were playing against a team that literally they would disturb the hotel of the U.S. national team to keep you guys up all night long.
Dude, we go down and play Guatemala, and it's similar in all these countries, El Salvador's, Costa Rica's. They are just like Buckeye fans. They are as passionate as you can be about their Buckeyes, and that's what it is, and that's why I really kind of I love what Ohio State does, and same times. Sometimes I don't like it because I'm like, dude, this is that big of a deal for you guys, but it really is.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
I saw similarities over, in South America, and we go down to Guatemala. We're there. All of a sudden, the game gets changed from the Guatemala National Stadium, which we normally play at, which it's in the city and blah blah blah, to Mazatenango. Where the hell is that? Yeah,
Donde está?
It's in the middle of the hottest place that you can be, almost in the
jungle
world. In the jungle, dude.
Yeah,
literally in the jungle. Trees all around. They took trees down and they built a soccer field. But you are in the jungle, so we go there and we had a 2-hour bus ride from the airport. Which normally it's like a half-hour bus ride.
Those roads, I can only imagine how windy
bumpy,
and just, oh my God, yes.
Eventually you're like, where the hell are we? We will get to this compound, and it's literally a compound. They have freaking a fence up there. There's spikes on all the fences. We're like, whoa, what? And we go in, and there's these bungalows. So there's a bunch of bungalows that you stay in. So there's 4 guys to a room. Ooh. And all the bungalows are right. And normally you have your roommate. You have you and your roommate. You're in the hotel.
So that's how it is on the national. So you guys like bunk the entire duration of the team.
Yeah. So normally you have your, go to the hotel and you have your roommate. And it's you and your roommate. Yeah. And then, everyone meets whenever the breakfast or dinner or whatever it is. But this one was like, no, you guys got 4 or 5 guys to a room. And there's these cots.
Yeah.
There's cots. It's not like a hotel room. We're like, what the heck is this, bro? Like, oh my God. Like, so we get there, we're like, okay, we got cots and cool. And I try to make a long story short. We all play cards at night, and it's the day before the game, and we're getting ready to play Guatemala, and it's a big game. It's a World Cup qualifier, and literally everyone's getting ready to sleep because 11 o'clock at night, 12, we're all done playing cards or whatever we do, and all of a sudden we hear this, and we're like, what the? And it's blasting, bro. Like blasting, like you the whole country could hear it. We go out, we look outside, like, what the heck's going on? And there's a whole there's 5,000 people, maybe 10,000 outside this compound. And,
that many people?
Oh, yeah.
That's
dude,
insane.
It was a whole, whoever was in the jungle, they all came out.
The jungle had emptied out at that point.
There's monkeys, there was apes, there was freaking, you name it. There were a couple zebras. I don't know what they have there.
I think there were zebras.
No, not zebras, but the spiders, No, not zebras.
Krampus showed up at one point. It was fucking nuts.
Krampus was right there, He was ready to go. So, and they're blasting music, and it's 11, 12 at night. Come 1 o'clock, come 2 o'clock in the morning, still blasting. All the people out there partying. There's a local radio station outside our hotel, just blasting as much. God. And they're, hey, guys,
they're on the mic too.
Whatever it's saying, what's that? And so they're on the mic, and literally our cabanas or whatever you call it, are literally right next to the fence, so you can hear everything.
Everything, huh?
All of a sudden, it starts kind of dying down about 2 o'clock. It's like everyone's the music's not as loud. Come 3 o'clock in the morning, dude, all of a sudden, right when everyone's kind of like going, fuck, we're finally asleep, dude. Okay, you're out just from being worn out from what you're just seeing. And music dies. No sound. In the jungle. Dark. Finally.
Yeah.
We can sleep. All of a sudden. Bah! M80s on all of our hotel, throwing M80s over the fence onto each one of our bungalows. And it sounded, I thought it was bombs, dude. If you have an M80 that lit off and lands on the roof.
Especially with the silence after everything goes away.
Oh, we were like, finally.
Yeah.
So it was like almost like torture. Like, if you're getting tortured, they do the drip. Right? That's what you hear about.
You let your guard down just enough. Yeah.
And they only do 1 drip an hour, and it's like hits your face and wakes you up. They did it to a T, bro. And it didn't stop till 5 in the morning. The next day, the game was normally played at 7:30 at night. This game was played at 12:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
It was 107 degrees.
Oh my God. The humidity, I can only imagine.
107 degrees.
Yeah.
15,000 people. The whole, dude, when you talk about jungle, there was people in trees, like literally, like
no way.
Freaking fans in the trees were flowing, going up and down, like almost ready to break because, there was only so many people they could sit in the stadium.
Right.
Hottest game I've ever played in my life. Most tired I've ever been, just from literally 0 sleep.
Wow.
Maybe an hour of sleep, which is the worst. It's almost better to pull an all-nighter, and because you're still kind of going,
right. Yeah. No,
but once you pull the all-nighter and you're like, it's really, and you go to sleep for an hour, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Because you wake up,
the adrenaline,
the adrenaline kind of wears off, and you're like, oh, finally, and then. So that was that game.
So did you guys win?
No, we tied 1-1.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
wow.
And dude, I don't know how we tied 1-1. We got absolutely blasted. Like literally, we got blasted. And I think we had a counterattack goal, but and Guatemala never blasts us. We're normally all over them. Yeah. But that was one time where it's like everyone was just like, "Holy crap! Can't wait to get the fuck out of here." Like literally. from like and then leaving the jungle was just as bad.
Yeah.
People freaking on the bus, throwing bottles at you, freaking. It's like it was unsafe. Put it that way.
Unsafe.
It was unsafe. That's the best way that I can explain it. And we got out of there kind of unscathed. But yeah.
Dude, it was such an honor to be at the Old Crew Stadium when you got your name permanently put on the stadium. And I was lucky enough to be the one to introduce it and be on the field for that. And, it was such an honor. But one of the coolest experiences was meeting your parents. And your dad is such a rad dude.
Yeah,
and for a lot of reasons, but if nothing else, the hook shot.
Yeah. Yeah, my dad, he taught Kareem Abdul-Jabbar the hook shot.
Lou Alcindor.
Infamous story, dude.
And that's a real story. Like, your dad really taught him the hook shot.
He really, he was a guy that really taught him a shot that is infamous, I guess, to this day, that no one's really repeated, which I can't believe.
Right.
Because there's guys.
nobody does that.
There's guys with the same arm length, and that's how my dad knew it. He went, eventually, it was. So he had Lou at, I think in 7th, 8th grade. That was the time. And, my dad was at Manhattan College, and he was a basketball player and good. He was a center, 6'4" white center, and he had what he called a push hook. That was his shot. He kind of pushed it. Yeah. Instead of doing that, he would just,
Gotcha. Yeah.
So people couldn't really block it, and he was big enough to do that. So, I guess his coach at Manhattan College goes, "Hey, George," or no, his old high school coach or one of them, "Hey, George, I got a kid for you to work with. The guy's, he's 6'9". He's in the 7th grade. He has size 14 feet.
That's so crazy.
But he can't chew bubble gum and catch the ball at the same time. Like, he can't. He's so uncoordinated. He's like a baby giraffe, right?
Right.
Like, that's how I kind of explained it. And so we get, so I'm like, Dad, what'd you do? And he would tell us around the campfire. We'd go to campsites every year, and he would tell it to everyone. This was his claim to fame.
Yeah.
But no one believed him. You
see, you thought it was bullshit at the beginning.
I did. All my friends did. But I was like, dude, he wouldn't just tell this story. He grew up in New York. He grew up in the Bronx. He lived in the same apartment complex that Lou and his grandmother lived in. My grandma would walk him to church. This was before he was Muslim, so he was a Catholic before then. And then, so she would walk him to church. So my dad gets a hold of him. It's like, dude, he starts seeing him and like, what are you doing? He would catch the ball up high and then bring it down low. So all the little guards that were smaller, no one can catch. If he was up here,
exactly.
If I'm our height, you could slap the ball out of his hands because he would catch it and then look around and bring it low. My dad was like, oh, what the hell are you doing? It's like, just hold the ball up here. If someone's going to try to slap it out of your hand, it's going to be a foul. You're too big for everyone. So then he learned that. That was his first step. Then the second step was like, okay, he taught him his drill. It was called the Mikan drill.
Okay.
I don't know what his first name was, but it's Mikan drill. You do a layup and you catch it, and then you do a left-hand layup, and you just keep on going back further and further.
Yeah.
And so he taught him that drill, and then he would teach him his push hook. But then when they would play one-on-one, and Lou was way bigger than my dad at that time, only in the 8th grade. He was 6. My dad could block his little push hook, so he was trying to teach him that. Like, that's how my dad, I guess, learned his little shot inside, and he could block it. And eventually, he's like, "Lou, put out your hands. Let's see your." And his wingspan was times 10 of any one that my dad had ever either taught or played with. So he went, okay, let's try this one. And that's when the hook came.
Wow.
Instead of a push,
yeah,
because you can block it easier, going around and up.
Yeah.
And my dad, he's like, once he learned that, once I couldn't block the hook and he was making it every time from that sideline, he said, it's over. He's like, this guy's going to be one of the greatest of all time. Because no one could block a shot. He would go on the projects. My dad was like, he's kind of like a Woody Harrelson.
Yeah,
he was the only white guy in the projects, but he could shoot and he could play. So, but once he would go with Lou or Kareem, it was one-on-one, there was people around the cages just going, oh! He got dunked on by an eighth grader. You know, like Woody Harrelson was getting dunked on.
No kidding.
By and all the people around were cheering. So, once he mastered that shot, my dad calls it a wrist shot. He doesn't call it a hook. He's like, it's more of a wrist shot.
Yeah.
You know, you just
because you get the spin. Yeah.
You get the spin, but he's the only guy that he said would shoot down on the rim.
Oh, because he's so big.
Everyone's shooting like this, dude. Like everybody.
Yes.
You don't see a shot that goes down.
Right. No, you're right.
He could do it where he could spin it. It was going down on the basket. So it was, it was a shot that I guess no one's mimicked. I don't know why to this day.
Yeah, I only know the two people, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Dr. J.
Dr. J. Those are
known
only
for the hook
two.
shot.
And it was one of the most historic shots of all time. I mean, it made him, until LeBron came in, he was the highest scoring. He
center,
led center. So
I guess not center. LeBron James doesn't play center, but
no, he doesn't. But you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. He's no one was beating that shot, and it's really never been mimicked. I can't believe no one's coached it.
Such a cool story, man.
Yeah, no, it was. So eventually, everyone was like, they figured it out. So. This is a long story, but it's a podcast. So my dad, eventually, I hear this story my whole life. And I'm listening to Mike and Mike in the morning and I don't know if the story's real or not.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm living in Ohio. I'm 28, I'm 30 years old almost, and still not knowing if the story's legit. We're listening to Mike and Mike in the morning on ESPN when they used to have that show. And I'm listening, and it's like, my wife's like, oh my God, look, they're talking about Kareem, and Kareem's up there, and he's promoting his new book, I think, or maybe an HBO doc on that. And he's like, and Mike and Mike, one of them asked, hey, well, we got to ask you, who taught you the skyhook? And he goes, you know what? We're still trying to find him. His name is George, I know that. And he is somewhere, but we really haven't been able. I'm like, what? I'm like, what? This is like when I was on to Twitter. Like, I'm off Twitter now, but and I probably will get back on. But I'm like, what? Tweet out to Mike and Mike. I'm like, hey, Mike and Mike, this is who taught him the skyhook. It's my dad.
Yeah.
If you want to connect with me, blah, blah, blah. Boom. Not even a day later, Kareem's manager calls me. He's like, hey, are you for real? I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I'm for real. So then the paper, the Columbus Dispatch, calls me as well. And this is Adam Jardy. It's like, Frankie, that wasn't true, right?
I love that nobody believes the story.
No,
everyone's down it. Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, if you want to know if it's true, here, I'll give you my dad's phone number. You try to figure out if it's true, because he'll tell you everything. And Jardy calls me back like 4 hours later. And he talked to my dad for 4 hours. And he's like,
that's crazy. Wow.
Holy shit, Frankie. He's like, he's like, how is this not out? I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know it was real. And so they get old Kareem, and Kareem calls my dad literally 2 days later.
Oh, that's so cool.
And they talked literally for 5-6 hours, because Kareem couldn't remember really his high school days,
Yeah, sure.
He remembers the college days,
Right.
But he didn't remember too much before UCLA. And so they talked for hours, and then for weeks on end, they were nonstop talking, and then it became once a month.
Oh, that's cool though. But
but they still totally talk. They'll talk once every like 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
And Kareem is the most beautiful guy in the world. But him and my dad just talked it out, and they had an autograph signing in San Diego, and there was thousands and thousands of people there, and my dad was there, and Kareem brought him up to the front.
Oh, that's cool, man.
It was like, hey, this is the man.
This is the guy. Finally.
So my dad, he could have died that day, dude.
He got his shine finally.
Dude, that's all he wanted.
Oh, that's so awesome.
He still talks about it. He's like, yeah, Frank, you won a couple MLS Cups. You won this cup. You were in the Olympics. But I taught Kareem the skyhook. And I'm like, damn, dude. Yeah, Dad. It's like, funny story. Yeah.
And
Crazy story.
What a story to end on, too, man. Hey, I want to thank you for coming in on
Dude.
this new venture of mine. You know,
I love it, dude.
Like literally one of my best friends, and we're going to do this again.
You're one of mine, dude.
sure.
Too. I mean, you're one of the reasons I stayed in Columbus, and all those days back in the day when we got to see each other and hang out on the radio, and this kind of brings back those memories. So it's really cool.
The good times will roll again.
Yeah, I'm psyched that you're doing this again. I'm psyched you're back here. Love it, bro.
Well, this is something that's completely independent, and I depend on you guys. So subscribe to the channel and like this video, share it. And we'll see you on episode 4 of The Loper Show. This is Frankie Hejduk.
Couple good stories, guys.